Let's take a look at these male blind spots so we know what to look for when we have all this helpful practical information with Information Station coming up next. So first, there are all these lessons that boys are taught about what it means to be a real man that have all this social and cultural pressure to do things a certain way, say things a certain way, dress a certain way. And these elements of traditional manhood really get us stuck, especially if they are happening all at the same time, and they limit us from accessing our true self as well as having meaningful relationships with other human beings. This messes up our whole balance. So let's be really clear on these. First, this idea that achievement equals success. Now, that might feel good, being productive and to achieve things. However, that is not the hokey pokey. That's not what it's all about as far as life satisfaction goes. This idea, though, tends to push a lot of men into leadership positions in their congregations so that then they have even more responsibility and even more pressure in those spaces when they're just doing what we think that we need to do to be comfortable or as our sense of duty or whatever. But this stands to actually block us from accessing, again, true self, meaningful relationships with other people. Another one of these is the idea that men have to be strong or courageous, and that this looks like not speaking up about pain, not speaking up about fear, avoiding being vulnerable, right? Just kind of tough it out, walk it off, man up, kid. Now, this looks really strong on the battlefield and might even be needed from someone in a leadership position. However, this also blocks us from authentic connection with other people. Vulnerability is required for authentic connection. The third one here that we're looking at is emotional restriction, also called stoicism. This actually has some specific roots in some Christian dogma at a very specific time of its development. And what this does is the more that we're taught that we should be restricted from accessing a full range of emotional intelligence, this is what is guiding us towards our integrity. And a lot of times really strict and rigid religious values will tell people, hey, if it feels bad, that means it is bad, and you should never be scared, or that means you don't have faith, or this kind of stuff. And this can really block people from figuring out what we need, what we want, what we desire in our own lives for our own balance. Second to last is don't be like a girl. This is oftentimes a combination of all these. It just looks like being nurturing, soft, compassionate, the sensitive, whatever. And again, this is more avoiding of vulnerability, and even can be disrespecting femaleness and femininity in the importance of some of those qualities as far as human civilizations go as well. And of course, last, this idea that violence is okay if it's necessary to get the job done. When this is happening, this is something that we see underneath a lot of religious abuse. People functioning with this type of value that they get to make the rules and they think that that was a reasonable way to do things. So if they want to define it as a way to get things done, they're in a position of power and they can do that. So it's really important to consider these and make sure that you're not trying to build some fancy house on a foundation that's crumbling. So the less of this that we're putting pressure on ourselves to do, and especially in a faith-based position, the more of these resources that we're able to access to improve our relationships with ourselves, other people, and our overall natural balance.